Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence. They don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they speak too soon. There is a strange and unsettling pattern that repeats itself across human history and psychology. Everything that grows in strength begins in silence. The moment something meaningful is exposed too early, it becomes fragile, vulnerable, distorted. Carl Jung understood this on a level most people never reach. He saw that our minds don't operate like machines. They operate like living ecosystems. And within that ecosystem, every intention, every desire, every transformation begins as raw psychic energy unformed, unstable, and extremely sensitive to interference. When you tell people your next move, you think you're sharing information. In reality, you are leaking energy. And once energy leaks, power weakens. This isn't superstition or mysticism. This is psychology. Jung explained that your unconscious mind doesn't separate inner reality from outer influence the way your conscious mind does. When you announce your intention, a new goal, a transformation, a dream, you invite external forces into something that hasn't stabilized inside you yet. Every person who hears your plan becomes a symbolic participant. Their doubts, their projections, their fears, their unconscious envy, even their well-meaning concern, all of it enters your psychological field, and most of it does not serve you. This is why the most powerful people throughout history moved in silence. Not because they were secretive, but because they understood how reality responds to inner coherence. The unconscious requires containment. Jung compared this to alchemy. Before a substance can be transformed, it must be sealed in an airtight vessel. If it's exposed too early, the process collapses. Your mind works the same way. The moment you speak your intention aloud, you are opening that vessel. Something escapes. Something contaminates. Something weakens. Have you ever noticed how excited you feel about a plan until you talk about it? At first, the idea feels alive, charged, almost inevitable. Then you explain it to someone, and suddenly it feels smaller, heavier, more complicated, less certain. Nothing objectively changed, but internally something did. That something is psychic dilution. Jung warned that the ego desperately seeks validation, but validation is poison during the early stages of transformation. The ego wants applause. The unconscious needs protection. And here's the cruel paradox. The more you talk about your future self, the less likely you are to become it. Why? Because talking creates the illusion of completion. Your brain releases reward chemicals just for announcing your intent. You feel as if progress has been made when nothing has actually happened. This is why so many people talk themselves out of greatness. They announce, they receive attention, and then they lose momentum. Silence, on the other hand, creates pressure. And pressure is what forges identity. When no one knows what you are doing, your mind can't outsource belief. You either become disciplined or you collapse. There is no audience to perform for, no reassurance to lean on. Only your internal structure. And this is where real power is formed. Jung believed that the strongest transformations happen when the ego stops negotiating with the world and starts negotiating with the unconscious. This requires solitude, containment, silence. When you move silently, something strange happens. Your attention sharpens. Your actions become precise. Your identity begins to reorganize. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending your vision. You stop seeking permission. And your unconscious responds by aligning your perception, decisions, and instincts toward a single direction. This isn't just motivation. This is integration. Most people never experience this state because they are constantly bleeding their inner process outward. They tell friends, post updates, and seek reassurance. Every time they do, they fragment themselves. Jung called this psychic inflation, followed by collapse. You inflate the ego by announcing the future, then reality fails to match the announcement, and the psyche collapses under the contradiction. Silence prevents this. Silence allows the inner image to mature before it's tested by the world. Think about nature. Seeds grow underground. Pregnancies remain hidden at first. Ideas gestate in darkness. Nothing powerful announces itself at conception. Only the weak demand attention before substance exists. Jung warned that when an idea is still forming, exposure is fatal. The unconscious needs darkness the way roots do. This is why ancient traditions taught the same rule: protect the inner work, reveal only the result. It's not because others are evil, but because they are unconscious. And unconscious people project their fear, their limitations, and their own unfulfilled lives onto your future. Even encouragement can be dangerous. Are you sure? That's risky. What if it doesn't work? These questions don't challenge your logic. They infect your imagination. And your imagination is the blueprint of reality. Jung believed that whatever consistently occupies your imagination eventually becomes your fate. So when others introduce doubt into your mental imagery, they are not just expressing opinions, they are altering the probability field of your future. This is why silence is not passive. Silence is an active psychological defense. When you keep your next move private, your mind remains internally aligned. Your nervous system stays coherent. Your identity stabilizes around action rather than explanation. You stop living as a narrator. You start living as an architect, and something even deeper occurs. Your shadow awakens. The shadow, the repressed, disciplined, relentless part of you, thrives in secrecy. It does not perform. It executes. Jung understood that the shadow contains your untapped strength, but it only emerges when the ego stops seeking approval. Silence starves the ego. Silence feeds the shadow. This is why people who move silently often appear suddenly successful. It wasn't sudden. You just weren't invited to witness the transformation, and you weren't supposed to be. There comes a moment, quiet and almost invisible, when the silence you've been holding begins to transform you. Internally, something locks into place. Jung would call this psychic crystallization. It's the point where your intention is no longer something you think about, it becomes something you are. And when that happens, effort changes form. You stop forcing action. Action begins to flow naturally from your new identity. This is why silence feels so uncomfortable at first. It strips away the illusion of progress. It removes the dopamine hit of validation. It confronts you with the raw truth of whether you are actually becoming or just talking. Those who endure the silence experience something rare: inner inevitability. The unconscious doesn't respond to desire. It responds to assumption. And assumption is built through repetition of inner reality, not outer speech. When you stop telling people what you're going to do, your mind stops negotiating. There is no audience to impress, no narrative to maintain, only alignment. The final stage of this process is the most important. When your move is ready, you don't announce it. You demonstrate it. Results speak in a language no explanation can rival. At that point, silence becomes unnecessary because reality itself has answered. This is the law Jung hinted at, but never stated directly. Speak when it is irreversible. Be silent while it is fragile. If you understand this, your entire relationship with ambition will change. You will stop explaining, stop convincing, stop leaking energy, and you will begin doing the one thing that actually bends reality, moving in silence until the world has no choice but to respond. If this idea resonates with you, let us know your thoughts below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights on psychology and personal growth.